Hey TL, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it too. Said oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, TL, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Tihel, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Tihel, just recently, I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves, and healthy branches. Oh boy. And now, not just mangoes, TL, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely moment that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing TL that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your insights, your philosophies, the impact your work is having, how you're offering your solutions, your journey so far. These stuff are amazing. And just before I sent you that text, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things TL is doing. Not only me now, but even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing TL. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your beautiful story and your words. That was just lovely. And
Thank you.
I appreciate how you really I could envision the transformation, which is something that you're offering to your audience members right now who may still be stuck in that period of their lives where they're not bearing much good fruit, but it could always turn around.
Could always turn around. That's so true. That's so true. Thank you. So let's get started, TL. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, TL, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing TL on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, TL, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, TL, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, TL, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are just so curious. We want to know how TL got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, TL, over to you.
So thank you for that introduction. I am the author of Delilah versus the Gasly Grimm. And that book I wrote for my grandchild, Delilah, who was diagnosed during her first year of life with what's called Dravet Syndrome. Now, here is the information that I can definitely impart. Dravet syndrome is not well known. It is a rare and sometimes catastrophic seizure disorder that's caused by a gene mutation in specifically the SCN1A gene. And so what happens is some of these kids have pretty severe seizures, sometimes multiple seizures a week, sometimes multiple a day. Some of the children can't walk or talk, or they require lifelong care, and some can. So it kind of works like a spectrum, almost like autism, where you have ones that will be able they'll be able to walk, they'll be able to talk, they'll be able to do things, and then you have ones that will require care for their whole lives. My grandchild is only 3, so we don't know where she will fall on the spectrum in the end, but she's doing quite well. She can walk, and she can feed herself. She does go to therapy multiple times a week, to occupational speech and physical therapy. They just actually dropped down on the occupational therapy because she's doing so well. And we learned a lot through our journey with her and Dravet syndrome, as far as meeting people, getting support, what kind of things are helping her that may help others. So, for example, medications. A lot of times what's given is Keppra for seizures. That didn't work for her. They tried benzos. That didn't work for her. So my daughter, who's in the medical field, did a lot of research, and she was able to find a medication called Dintepla, and that has staved off the seizures for over a year now. So my grandchild is doing quite well. But I came across the study when I was in a program. I was actually writing a book for adults. It was supposed to be a suspense thriller. And as I was writing it, I was in this program, and I came across a study that said there aren't a lot of books out there for kids with special needs. I think it was by the Cooperative Children's Book Center. And that's the last study I saw. Now, the numbers may have changed. I didn't do a deep dive into whether the numbers have changed recently, but it was in the area of 3.4%. So there's not a lot of inclusive books out there for children. In fact, I think there's a representation problem across the board with regard to literature. So when I saw that study and the experiences with my grandchild, I really wanted to change my trajectory and write something that would be available to help kids like my grandchild feel empowered, to allow them to see themselves in the books that they read. So that is why I wrote Delilah versus the Gasly Grimm, and it just came out. It's doing pretty well. It did land on the bestseller list on Amazon for children epilepsy help. And that was early release. It only fully released yesterday. So we are in the middle of the launch now. But my hope is that it will be something that is meaningful to those who are experiencing these things. I'm even getting messages from adults who are saying they've had loved ones with seizures, and there wasn't a lot out there for them, as far as it's fiction, but it's fiction that's rooted in my grandchild's disability. So for those listeners of yours who kind of are experiencing that moment where things seem bad, like the tree, the food doesn't look like it's going to come out. That's kind of where we were when we got the diagnosis. It's a hard hit when you get a diagnosis. You don't know enough about it. You're scared for the person, for their life, because it is a life threat. It can be life threatening. So you're afraid. But then now the mangoes are coming out, and she's doing quite well. And we have this book that we are is basically for her. So that's a positive thing, and hopefully it will be positive and bear fruit for others as well.
Amazing. You see, one thing that stood out to me is the fact that you're so concerned about getting the word out, helping others. And what I can say about your grandchild is, I believe she's strong. She's come this far, and the tree is bringing forth fruit, just like you mentioned, and it's all going to end well. I believe so.
Me
And now
too.
you've just educated me, because, yeah, I wasn't aware of the syndrome thing, the Dravet syndrome. I'm not sure I pronounced that correctly. Now I'm aware. Now I'm aware of something like that now. I never knew that before. So there's this part I'm still curious about. So how does Delilah's fantasy adventure reflect real-world challenges that kids face today?
There are several instances in the book that I believe kids will resonate with. So one of the things that Delilah experiences as a result of being a special needs child, because she does have severe seizures in the book, is that she gets bullied. So kids that have seizures, sometimes these seizures can be quite dramatic, and sometimes they can cause a child to wet themselves or, and be scary to other kids. So that does make them feel separate from others. So I address that, the fact that she feels separate and lonely, and she does kind of get bullied because of being different than others. So I do address that. But in the book, her difference is later, I like to say, like, some people would view that as a weakness, but basically what I wanted to show was what's viewed as a weakness is her greatest strength, because it is through those challenges that she goes through that she is kind of given this opportunity to tap into that, and that becomes the strength that helps her defeat the villain in the book. So it is her greatest, what is perceived as her greatest weakness turns in or transforms into what is her greatest strength. So her powers are rooted in her disability. Like, she would not have them but for the fact that she was born with this disorder. And that is what I wanted to give to kids, because kids who have seizures or kids who feel separate from other people in general often do. I know I have felt like I didn't belong in certain situations, and that the book addresses that. Like, anyone who is feeling lonely or afraid or that they don't fit in, that's real life. I think all of us kind of feel that at some point or another. And the good news is that you may not be in the right place at the right time, but there are places that are right for you. And sometimes these experiences that feel negative at one time are actually necessary to help you grow, and then will be what ends up making you reach a higher level or reach that greatness.
I got that. Profound words. You may not be at the right place at the right time, but there are places that are right for you. I'm not sure I put that way, but I got that. Wow, that's profound. Okay, so there was this one again. Why is disability representation in children's books important to you? Got it?
Well, well, definitely the inspiration was my grandchild. But I used to also be a director of a school for children with disabilities. And I can tell you, these kids go through some very serious struggles. And they deserve to have books out there where they can feel connected to the characters, instead of feeling like that's just them being separated from others, yet again, such as society will sometimes do. So that's why I feel it's important to have not just inclusion with disabilities, but better representation across the board in literature.
I got that. So what was it like launching your own publishing company?
Very hard. So I am a nurse by day, and I used to be an educator. And so uh, launching the company is something that is new and has a learning curve. So I am still in the process of learning a lot of the ins and outs of the industry. Some of these big five companies, they have many departments to do all the various things that I'm trying to do by myself. They have departments to get the word out there. They have departments that take care of, the artwork or the design of the book, the typesetting, all of those things, the technical issues. There were a lot of technical issues while I was creating this book. I did have to hire somebody. I actually hired two people to do the editing of the book. One of the editors was the editor of The Hunger Games, because I really wanted to make sure that if I was going to release this book under a label, my label, that it was going to be the best that it could possibly be. So, and the other editor was a professional writer and at one time a literary agent. So she was very knowledgeable. Both of them were very helpful in helping me get this book ready for the public. So launching this company came with a lot of unexpected difficulties, a lot of barriers, to be honest with you. And I am still working to overcome some of those barriers now. I don't know what will happen, but you just keep climbing and see how high it can go, I guess.
Keep climbing. That's the spirit. I love that. Okay, so finally, why did you name the ship in your book the North?
I must have sent you that as part of the story. So it was a unique thing that happened. A couple of things made me believe that this was almost like I was being steered toward writing this book. One was that I was a school director for kids with disabilities before my grandchild was given the diagnosis. And then she was given the diagnosis, and my family actually moved to provide support to my grandchild to help out. And then when I started writing the book, I had a dream about a boat, and the boat was called the Nord in the book. So that's the name I gave it in the book because of my dream. And then later on, after it went through its edits, and it went through a lot of edits, after it went through both editors, after the edits, I was doing research on organizations that help people with disabilities. And one of them was called the Nord. And I had never heard of it before that point. And I'm not connected with them in any way. I just thought it was quite interesting that there was an organization out there that did these things. And I'm writing the book for a child and for children who have special needs or have disabilities. And there's this organization called the Nord, and that kind of is what they are geared to, helping those with disabilities. So then it kind of made me believe that I am on the right track. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is an important thing. And I always say it's more than a book. It's more than just Delilah versus the Gasly Grimm. It's almost a mission now.
Wow, that's deep. Now I understand. Okay, so to bring this to an end, TL, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to reach out to you, ask questions, make a purchase of your wonderful book, how can that be possible?
So I guess for my final thoughts, I would say for those of you who feel alone or feel separated from the rest, know that I think that a lot of us feel that way, and there are support groups out there. If you have a disability, there are support groups out there. If you know anyone with a seizure disorder or Dravet Syndrome, there are websites for you. For example, the Dravet Syndrome Foundation is a good place to start. Facebook has support groups for those of you caregivers who find it that they're having some struggles with regard to what's the right direction to go. Sometimes interacting with others helps guide you to the best course of action. So there are things out there for you for help. If you would like the book, it's being offered on Amazon right now. So you can go to Amazon.com. Again, the name of the book is Delilah versus the Gasly Grimm. It's a middle grade adventure written to be very action-packed. So children won't probably recognize the fact that it is a high concept book designed for inclusion and to address certain things. It's written more like for fans of Percy Jackson, so it's very action adventure style of writing, but with those other features incorporated. Adults will probably notice that more than the child who will be reading it. And then as far as reaching out to me, I have a website called www.blueroundbookgroup.com. On that website at the bottom, you'll find links to my social media. So you could either use the contact page there, or you could reach out to me on social media. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if there's any stories that you wanted to share about your personal experiences with someone who may be struggling with a disability, or even just having been bullied or feeling alone. Or maybe you're a writer who's interested in pursuing a path where you're wanting books with better representation. I would love for you to reach out.
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, TL. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me on your show.